Another episode of Delicious Living with Chef Katie Mae. I'm your host, and today we're making quesadillas with caramelized onion and peppers. Super tasty. So let me know in the comments that you can hear me okay. We've got a new setup this week. Hopefully you're liking it. Better view of the whole kitchen. I'm just a little bit far from my stove top, but we got a camera over there too. I just need to get a couple longer cords for my cameras so these can be out of sight. But welcome everybody. If you haven't gotten the recipe yet, be sure to download that from the email. If you did not get the email, then the link to get the recipes is, I'm going to put it in the comments here. So this will get you on our email list so I can send you the recipe, but also so you get all of the future notifications about these cooking classes. So we have this tasty dish here that I used to make often, but lately I haven't been making it as much, but it's really simple and a nice treat, because if you've been following the whole food plant-based diet for a while, or you just got started, you can reflect a lot easier. When you first start this way of eating, you think you have to give up a lot of the traditional, you may think you have to give up a lot of the traditional dishes we have that have meat and cheese in them, especially something called quesadillas, where it's totally based on cheese. But that's not the case. We don't have to get rid of these tasty dishes. We can actually have a lot of flavor in our life with similar dishes as we used to have, but we actually get more joy in the end because we'll feel better eating these dishes, and we'll actually look better as well. And so you just want to continue this lifestyle when you know how to prepare the food in a way that makes you feel good, and even better if it can taste good, right? So hopefully you guys like this as much as I do. We have our recipe I'm going to show you here. This is the dish we're making, quesadillas. So we're going to start with our cheese sauce. There's a couple different steps here. I don't know why that's blinking. Is it blinking for you guys? Is this screen flashing? My screen's flashing and I'm not sure why that's happening. So let me know. And give us a like too if you guys are excited about this recipe, the quesadillas. Definitely give me a thumbs up. That always helps. And share this video, because as of today, if you missed the show yesterday, as of today, these Delicious Living Lives are going to be they're going to be available for everyone ongoing. So we're no longer having the 24-hour period. Show the blinking screen. Let me just move off of the recipe. Maybe that's why that's happening. Apologize for the delay there, because yeah, there's 30 seconds delay, so I didn't see whether that was actually happening for you. So that's the recipe. I will just follow along. I'm going to follow along there, so because it's so easy for me just to make things without following the recipe. Okay, we're going to do this cheese sauce. All right, we're going to start with cheese. Cheesy cheese. I love just pointing out that I personally like continuing to use the terms cheese and meat for our plant-based products, because cheese doesn't need to mean dairy. We can have nut cheeses, and same with meat. We have coconut meat, we have different nut meats. And even in the Bible, meat did not mean flesh of an animal. It actually meant food. So this is our cheese. We're gonna do cashews here. I have soaking 3/4 cup of cashews. We're going to put this right into our blender here. lid off. And we're gonna do a little bit of nutritional yeast as well. Let's see if I got. I'll grab a different. So nutritional yeast adds a umami flavor to our sauce. The umami is a big component of cheese, of dairy cheese. Umami is our fifth taste, right? And it's actually signaled by protein, a protein called glutamate. And that protein is in plant foods, but it's also in animal products. And when it's aged, the cheese is aged, that glutamate becomes more available. So we actually have a lot of umami in cheeses and in meats. So this nutritional yeast is going to give us that umami, which the nuts do a little bit, but not too much. But the nuts give us the creaminess, the fattiness that we want, right? So it's a great combination to use nuts and nutritional yeast. If you don't want to use either, you don't have to. You could replace the nuts with a little bit of beans or steamed cauliflower, something to give it a little bit of creaminess, or you just do less water and you don't worry about it too much. You could pack the filling with some other things like rice or beans, and you don't actually need all of that creamy cheesiness, which is what comes with a quesadilla, but you can make quesadillas without a cheese sauce, definitely. So if you want to not do the nutritional yeast, I would use, if you don't want to use this like as an ingredient as a whole, but you're okay with a little bit of nutritional yeast, I'd recommend a little bit of Benson's Table Tasty, which is like a salty seasoning, and it has a little bit of nutritional yeast in it, but it will also add in more umami and saltiness without adding pure salt. And then you could also put mushrooms in your dish, which is a totally different flavor for umami, but that's just another option, okay? So I love giving options because that's the way I cook. A lot of variety, and whenever I follow someone else's recipe, it ends up being my own. I don't follow other recipes very well. So we're gonna do some lime juice here, 1 whole lime juiced. And the other half here. Yeah, so if you guys could mix, when you're asking a question, if you could capitalize and write out the word question ahead of your question, that will help me to see it, okay? Because I want to be able to answer as many questions as possible, but it's hard to find which ones are questions and which ones are just other comments. So we have the water to add here. We're going to do some fresh filtered water. You guys, I get my water here actually comes from a spring in Linwood, Washington, a fresh spring. It's so amazing that you can just show up and it's kind of like a well. You just put your bottle up to the well and you got fresh water and it tastes amazing. And I didn't, I knew about it for a long time, but I haven't lived here for a while. So it's easy to just continue either by, using your tap water or you're getting a filter. But if you can look for a spring in your area, they might actually have one. You just got to be, aware of it and check it out. Look that up to see if they have a fresh spring in your area. So we have, totally off topic, but I love my water. Okay, so we have eggs. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna blend this all up. One more ingredient, stone ground mustard. We're gonna do half a tablespoon here. I'm just gonna estimate that. So this adds a little bit of umami as well and a little salty tanginess. You also have that tang with the cheese. So now we can blend our, do I have my lid here? Let's see, do you see my Vitamix back here? Blend this up. One more time. When you're blending nuts and you turn off the blender, you can actually listen to hear the nuts if they're all blended. You can sometimes hear them, if they're not blended, you hear them drop on the blade. So that's why I turned that back on, because I heard them. Okay, next up, we've got our sauce here, and I am going to just set this aside for now, and then we're going to make our pepper filling. So we got to chop up our veggies first. Okay, we've got our onion here. Slice off the onion, cut this in half. Actually, this recipe is based on, I used to work as a catering specialist at Whole Foods Market. That was one of the funnest jobs of my life. We produced like 60% of the profits, me and one other girl. We were 2 people in this catering department, but we made 60% of the profits for Whole Foods Market in Bellevue out of 60% of the prepared food section, which was a lot to be doing with 2 people, but that production, the level of production we were doing and the dishes we were doing, is quite fun. One of the appetizers we made often was quesadillas, and we had chicken quesadillas, but we also had veggie quesadillas, and they put in pepper and onion with the spices, cumin and chili powder we're going to use today. And they, of course, we were using real, I don't like saying real, don't, we were using dairy cheese, but I liked the dish so much I decided to make my own version without the dairy, and it turned out quite well. So Gina says, if we use white beans, potatoes, or cauliflower instead of cashews, do we need to add more nutritional yeast? You don't need to, and I wouldn't recommend it because nutritional yeast can be a little overpowering. You know, the flavor could be too much, and I've actually felt a little nauseous after having too much nutritional yeast. So that's up to you, but I would say you don't need to add any more. If you wanted a little creaminess and you don't want the nuts, but you're open to a little bit of seeds, you could add either hemp seeds or flax seeds even. It would be great in this dish. The flaxseed would add a little omega-3s, not too much creaminess, but the hemp seeds would actually add a lot of creaminess. Okay, our onions are here. We're gonna cut up our pepper. So my pepper cutting always starts, bell peppers, I turn upside down so we can go around the edges like this. Let's make a C shape, and we go right down to the core so we get almost all of it. And then we'll slice these in long strips. I've got new peppers today at the grocery store. I found these roasted or sweet roasting peppers. I was excited to try them. So I've got a couple going in my oven right now, and we'll pull out. I should check on those in a minute. But I figured I'd cut up a couple of these to go in our quesadillas as well. And we'll just like this. We've got these seeds in here, but they're sweet peppers, so I'm not going to worry about it. Just want to cut these guys half. Has anyone made quesadillas before? I know, actually, if you guys are interested in a quesadilla without the cheese, I've heard that Forks Over Knives has a recipe where they use rice and beans and there's no cheese sauce. So it's nut free. If that's something you're interested in, you could check out the Forks Over Knives, their quesadilla recipe. But So, great. I love this. I love this putting in the question. That is really helpful for me to be able to see all of your questions. So let's add one more pepper here. Cut these guys. Doo-doo. So guess what's happening tomorrow? You guys can't guess, but I'm going on a water fast. I'm going to do a 5-day water fast just at home here, and I'm mixed feelings about it. Mixed feelings, excited and dreading it at the same time. So we have our pan here. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Stainless or non-stick pan. You can saute your veggies in a stainless steel pan just fine. It doesn't need to be non-stick, but in order to toast the quesadillas, you need a non-stick surface. So that's one of the few times where it really helps to have a non-stick surface. Otherwise, you'll get sticking on the bottom of the pan. If you don't mind that and that's all you have is a stainless steel pan, then by all means, you can try it in the stainless steel. But let's cut off just the little edge here. Otherwise, a non-stick saute pan like this will work for your quesadillas once we're putting them all together and toasting them. Or you could use like a big skillet if you had a large skillet, or even a panini pan would work. You know, you'll get that panini, a little bit of that shaping, more texture to your tortillas, but that would work too, that surface. Okay, so this is going to go on our stovetop, and let's switch our view here. So we've got this. How does that work out? Always been trying to improve our camera angles here. And I could get a little bit closer next time, but my cord's a little short. So for right now, this is our look. We're going to add in our spices. We've got chili powder here. And let me see my amount. I'm going to add so I've got half a tablespoon of chili powder. And we're going to we've got half a tablespoon of the chili powder here. Oh, we've got to turn this up. Okay, and then our cumin, almost out of my cumin, ground cumin. So I just ground up some fresh cumin in my little personal Tri-Best blender here I showed on yesterday's show. We have cumin seeds bought from the store, ground up here in like 10 seconds. So I'm just going to put in our cumin, about 1.5 tablespoons we're using. Cumin is great. I wish you guys could smell this. When you grind it fresh, it is such a powerful aroma. It makes the whole kitchen smell amazing. Okay. And actually, you know what? I'm going to cook my quesadillas in here. I'm going to put our veggies in this pan here. I'll switch that over. Okay, easy enough. All right, we'll let that, I have it up at almost high heat, close to the highest you could get. And so it's kind of like a stir fry. We're going to let those cook for probably 5 minutes or so. Put my lid back on here. It's always best to keep your spices closed in their containers to keep the aroma in, but also the nutrients, preserve them a little longer. Okay. All right. Back to our cutting board. Yes, I need a mic to my collar. The mic wasn't an issue until we had this new setup. So it's always one thing or another. They do look like Anaheim chilies, Paula, but they were not. They were sweet roasting chilies. And Anaheim pepper, if you're not familiar with the Anaheim pepper, that would work great here too. It's a mild hot pepper. It's not a sweet pepper, but it's not hot either. So it's pretty mild. Cast iron skillets. I don't like the iron coming into the food through that material. It's really not the best for our health overall. Different reasons, brain health being one of them. So I would recommend, and on top of that, you have all the oil that is, you always oil those pans, and then the oil is heated and cooled and reheated, and so you end up with a lot of trans fats by using the cast iron pans. So I'd recommend switching to either a stainless steel pan or a high-end non-stick pan. But I'm now going to use my non-stick pans on a more minimal basis, and try to use the stainless steel pans and the Salad Master cookware I have, which is really fantastic as well. Your screen is flashing now. Is Mary Gina? Okay. So we have, let me see if I missed any of your questions. Brands of pans do you use? I just mentioned the Salad Master cookware is fantastic. That is a high-end product line, but they last forever. I know people who've had them for 50, 60 years, and that is just not the case with most cookware. So if you can, and it's really fun way to get Salad Master cookware, so we'll talk about that another time. But they support a whole food plant-based diet, and they teach how to make things without oil in their pans as well. So it is a great company. But Meryl, if you're listening, can you share a couple of your recommendations for those pans? These were a couple great ones that I've heard before, but I'm not recalling the names off the top of my head. Scan pan is the one I recommend for a non-stick cookware. I love the Scan pans, but it's still not the highest. You can't get non-stick cookware that doesn't have some material that is just not ideal for us. But you can take good care of your Scan pans. We have a little bit of time since our veggies are cooking there. You can take better care of your Scan pans than I did, actually, because I didn't realize that you don't want to heat the Scan pan to a very high heat. So if you're using the Scan pan, it's best to keep it to like medium heat, which I was not doing. So it's a good idea to read all the directions when you are using a new product, right? So these are our tortillas here. You can see this Rancho organic corn tortillas. There's no added oil. When you're buying tortillas, you want to make sure they're 100% organic and corn. I would recommend organic corn and no wheat whatsoever. If you wanted to do a different variety, something with like rice or teff, they have lots of different grain tortillas out there. You go ahead and do that, but those are going to likely have oil and other added ingredients you don't want. So let's switch back to our stovetop so I can stir these guys. Yum. Smells so good. You see? You see that? So this is now the time to add in our cheese. And I'm going to let this cook a little longer. We're going to add our cheese sauce right to the chili pan. And turn down the heat too. Alright. I'm going to actually put a little water in there just to get the rest of that cheese sauce out. our cheese sauce is actually starting to stick to the bottom just a little bit. So before putting in, let's come over here and talk to you. So here's our saute. Before you put in your cheese sauce, I recommend turning off the heat, and you could actually stir this in a separate bowl rather than here. Is it worth switching now? We'll put this into a bowl right here. It's just so your cheese doesn't stick to the bottom. There we go. And this actually is, this filling, the onion, peppers, and this cheesy sauce here is so fantastic just on its own. You could put this on the side with some beans and rice. You don't even need to put it in the tortilla if you don't want to. And if you want, you could do other veggies in here, like some portobello mushrooms would be fantastic. Okay, so we've got our spinach, our peppers. We've got a couple escapee peppers and onion. Any questions about the tortillas? This is just one brand. Oh, Mi Rancho is actually the brand. There's other brands I use. Food for Life and La Tortilla Factory are two great brands for. Let me turn off that heater just came on. There we go. Didn't want that sound bugging you. I would think you roast the peppers before adding to the vegetable mixture. You could roast the peppers. Let me check those peppers in the oven. Oh, they look fantastic. So these are our peppers right out of the oven. I'll grab a little. Big peppers. You could do these roasted and then slice them and put them in here too. This saute is the way that we were doing it at Whole Foods Market, and I never really thought twice about it because it was so flavorful that way. But at the store, these were called roasting sweet peppers, so I just had to put some in the oven and try them out. And they're pretty, some of them were pretty big, but these would definitely work if you wanted to roast them, slice them up, and then put them in there. They're just going to be a lot softer, which is fantastic. But depending on what you're doing with this mixture might not be as easy to handle and put together. Oh, Peggy, that's great to know. Thank you. She says it's the learning curve with the Salad Master cookware of how the cheese stuck. That's great because I was like, I don't recall that happening previously. Kay, I didn't go into more detail about the iron issues. If you want to say something about that in the comments, that would be fantastic. Because I actually don't know the details. I just know that it's dangerous and not more harmful than good for us. So please expand on that if you'd like to. Okay, so let's put these together. We have our tortillas here. We're going to actually start the tortillas on the stove top. So here my recipe says to let the pan heat up for 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn my pan on. And we already had it started before. I'm also going to wipe it down with a little paper towel here because we had some spices in there and I don't want those spices to burn. It will not make our tortillas very flavorful. So we've got our pan here. Let that heat up. We're going to add in one of our tortillas and we'll get it heated. on one side, and then we're gonna flip it and add our fillings once we flip it, okay? So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and if you are looking forward to making these. These would make great entrees, but also appetizers if you have football's back in season, if anyone's watching that, if you're having any little gatherings. I am going to have a potluck in the next couple weeks. I can't wait. If anyone is local, be on the lookout. You'll probably get an email from me soon to invite you to that. I can't wait any longer. So we have a really tasty dish here that is going to be filling, but you don't want to eat this entire entree. You don't want this entree to be your entire meal. I would recommend having some greens on the side. I'll be steaming up some broccoli and kale to go with this. If you want to do some rice on the side or beans, that would be great, like some Mexican rice, some refried beans. I have a recipe for both of those in on my website, theculinarygym.com. So you can find, and at the homepage at the top there is a search icon. If you click that, you can type in refried beans. I think they're called fryless refried beans. You can type in Mexican rice, you'll get those recipes. The tortilla brands, the one I'm using is Mi Rancho, but the other two that I was using most often was La Tortilla Factory and Food for Life. Food for Life is the Ezekiel brand, and they're fantastic. So yes, 5 days water fast. My mom actually just did one. I'm gonna put these peppers and put these on a little plate here. So my mom, she was gonna fast last Saturday? She said she's gonna do a water fast. And I was like, if you're gonna do one day, you should do at least like 2, 3, maybe 4 days. And I didn't really expect her to be on board so willingly, but she actually did 5 days. I'm so proud of her. And if you guys can't make it to True North, maybe you heard Dr. Goldhammer's talk yesterday with Chef AJ. Stay at home, 5-day, 4-day, whatever you can do, even intermittent fasting, which is what they recommend, fasting every day for 12 to 16 hours is fantastic because it gives your body a break. But I have not found, I don't think balance is possible, work-life balance. I just don't believe that you can ever achieve that. And what I seek more than balance is harmony. And I have been working a lot more with these 2 classes a week, and we've been doing some interviews, and then also getting a whole new portal for the community. It's been really stressful, and so before I dive into doing more work, we're gonna launch my next Magic of Umami class and another round of PC 101, Plant-Based Cooking 101. Before we dive into those, and I also record another episode, another bonus meal for the core meal method. I need to just recoup, reset, allow my body to rest. So I'm going to do a 5-day water fast. And like I said, I'm kind of looking forward to the rest and thinking I can read and do some more relaxful things, but you're totally wiped out, and you don't actually get as much done as you think you might get done in that regards of like reading things. That's my just goal, is to read some things that I haven't had a chance to, and that like just most likely doesn't happen. So that being said, I highly recommend anytime you can get in a short-term water fast like that, but don't go longer. If you're interested in a longer fast, it needs to be medically supervised, okay? I don't have any nutritional info on the recipes yet, but I do recommend using, it's called Chronometer. There's lots of programs out there, but the one I use is Chronometer, and that's a great app for putting in your recipes, and then you get the nutritional information back. If anyone is interested in doing that work for me, let me know. I'd love to have help doing a nutritional analysis. But yes, and also if anyone is interested, just putting it out there in researching, kind of volunteering, maybe it could work into a paid position, but initially it'd be volunteer as we feel each other out, see if it's a good fit. I need a researcher to help in going deep on topics that I want to be talking about and writing about, and making classes to support you guys further. So if anyone is interested, let me know. The pan is totally heated and I just totally went off, forgetting what I'm doing. So our tortilla is in our pan. Actually, we're gonna flip this guy. It's good to toast both sides of the tortilla. If you can't see them really, but I'll show you the next one. We have little tongs here. So you can see it's not brown. It's just, lightly golden. To put in the filling here, so the filling doesn't make the tortilla too wet. I like toasting both sides. Okay, at least the bottom one. And we can put in some spinach. It's not a bad idea to put the spinach on the bottom and then put your tortilla or your peppers on it, or there in the middle. And this is where you could, if you wanted to, put some rice and beans inside. Personally, I like the rice and beans on the side because they're so small, they fall out easily. And you don't want to overfill this, so I'm going to be careful not to do that. And we're going to put our second tortilla here on the side first. No, we're going to put it right on top. Just smush it down. You guys can see this. These tortillas will shrink up on you, so the top one is larger than the bottom one right now, but you need a big spatula here to flip these guys. So something like this. This is OXO brand. So many things. OXO, great brand. We can flip these tortillas in a minute. I'll do that. Keep in mind that when you're making these quesadillas, the second, third, fourth quesadilla are going to be cooking on a hotter pan. So you want to make sure that you don't overcook them. Don't brown them. Yeah, I did a 14-day water fast at True North, and it was an experience. It was amazing, really, but it was not pleasant. I had some unexpected symptoms that were not related to detox, just other things that came up. And I can't wait to get back for another fast where I don't have those issues and where I could really go deeper and be more present with the healing process. But if you yes, Gina says Dr. Goldhammer recommends never water fasting for a prolonged period of time. I'm not sure what that prolonged period of time is. I think he may say not to do a 5-day, but there are plenty of people doing 5 and 4-day water fast. It depends on your individual condition though, and if you're on a lot of medications, those are going to be issues, and so it would be a good idea to wait till you can do it at a medically supervised place. I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak to any of that to make recommendations for you, of course, especially not over video. But I think there's so many benefits of water fasting, and I know that people can't get to a place that I think if you are generally healthier and you feel comfortable doing it, to see how you do with a couple days. Start off with just 1 day, maybe 2 days, and then go back to juicing and go back to eating. And then if, the next time you could see how you do with 3 days, you kind of take it like that. So let's flip our quesadillas here. And let me just changed our view here. I need a little clicker on top of a mic being on my jacket. I need a clicker that's in handheld so I could go back and forth. So we're gonna flip that over. The top one was starting to curl on me, so I had to hold my hand to it, flip it over. Where do I see that? Be great if you had a big skillet or like an open, an open face skillet here where you could do multiples at the same time. But this pan is like just small enough for one. Yes, Dr. Gold, I can't believe how long they went, 90 minutes. Actually, I thought Dr. Goldhammer and AJ would end up going even longer than that, the way the questions were coming in. 50 pages of questions, so definitely check out that interview. I'm sure he'll be back on. Question, will your bonus recipes for the core meals be available to those of us who already have the core meal course? Yes, definitely. And if you're in the core meal course or you're in our Delicious Living membership, we have this new community portal, but it's taken me a lot longer to get it all set up with some different pieces. So I apologize for the delay with having all of us engaged and connecting there, but that is coming definitely next week after my fast. So late next week, keep an eye out for an email to invite you to join again and participate, share your meals, and there'll be a lot happening in the Delicious Living membership. Specifically, the Core Meal Collective, we call it, is a great place to go to see other people's core meals, other people's dishes and what they're creating. So it's going to be a lot of fun, this new portal. I'm excited for it. I wish I had another pan. I do. Let me pull out another scan pan I have. Okay, I've got this pan here. It's also scan pan nonstick, and I'm going to put a quesadilla in this guy. I'm not going to be here with you guys through all 4 of these, but I am having my parents over, so we're going to be enjoying quesadillas. Well, I should say my dad and I will be enjoying these quesadillas. My mom is just getting off her fast, so she'll be having steamed vegetables. I hope you guys like these quesadillas when you make them at home. This little mixture. Can I show you? Let me show you a close-up of this. Let's see how. It's super creamy and tasty. You could just kind of go to town with this. It's just a fork. Hopefully that was a good view. But it's fattening, right? Those cashews are fattening, so make sure you serve this either with the tortillas like we're doing with the quesadillas, or you could do those veggies with some beans and some other vegetables, like a bed of steamed kale. That would be really tasty as well. Yeah, intermittent fasting is really fantastic too. Something you can do every day, and you probably need to work up to a longer period of time, but I do 13 to 14 hours pretty consistently. So our quesadilla. Yeah. So this guy, and we're going to put another one down here. Got that going. And we're going to put another one on my second pan. Okay, so here's our finished quesadilla. This is I think actually the easiest to cut this on our cutting board here. We're just going to go right down the middle, and then we'll go Down the other way. Gotta make hard, fast cuts there so it all stays together. Oh, doesn't that look good? Can you see? Can you see how good that looks? It's hot, gooey, sticky. Yum. And yes, like I said, definitely have this with some other vegetables, some green veggies, some beans. Oh, yum. It's too hot to take a bite, but oh, am I excited for this. So you guys got to check it out, try it out. I've got other news too. In addition to this being free, our Delicious Living live on Thursdays, 5 o'clock. You're here, 5 o'clock Pacific time. This is going to be available for everyone. They're going to stay online. I'm not removing them anymore. But our Wednesday shows, which right now we're at 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10 a.m. Pacific. Those are going to be private. So if you're interested, and they're going to be a little bit of a different focus. It's going to be called Garden Fresh Healing with Katie Mae. And the focus is going to be, I would say this focus is mostly about the flavor and the plant-based cuisine, learning new skills, how to do really fantastic dishes that will keep us enjoying and loving and sustaining this lifestyle, and able to share it with others, friends and family, so that we have more connection and support around this lifestyle, and we can also help nourish other people, our loved ones. So that's what the Thursday show is about. Garden Fresh Healing is going to be a little more about actually going deeper into the healing, disease reversal with a whole plant food diet. So just a little bit of nuanced things as far as which ingredients we might be using or not using. Some days we'll focus on not having certain allergen groups like no nightshades, things like that. And then I can also talk more about specific topics. We might get into juicing. We'll talk about juicing actually next Wednesday, because I'll be on day 1 of juice after a 5-day water fast. And it'll be really great. I think a great way for me to support people who are interested in going deeper with a whole plant food diet for their healing and want more support doing that. So if you're interested in attending those classes, please join us for the Delicious Living membership. It's only $20 a month, and you can cancel at any time. It is a subscription, so there's a renewal every month, but you can cancel anytime. There's no contract, and you get 4 extra classes a month. So those 4 Wednesday classes, in addition to these free Delicious Living shows. And then you also get a Q&A every month, a Q&A with me where I can answer all your questions, and an expert interview, and the community engagement in our discussions, and live chat. And then there'll be other resources and things shared throughout the month, so that you can really shine your brightest through eating a whole plant food diet. So hopefully that is interesting to some people, and you might want to be joining us. If you have any questions whatsoever, email me, support@theculinarygym.com. I've got to flip my tortillas here. Let me know if you guys have any questions here in the comments. We're going to add our next round of filling here. Yes, we're gonna do broccoli and kale, steamed broccoli and kale for veggies. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a delicious weekend, I should say, and I will see you next week. Bye everyone.